Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Richard Everhart Groves Jr. here today, and we're going to topic is money matters or money it matters. And today with me I have Adam DeSimone, financial planner extraordinaire, great guy, and we're just going to talk a little bit about retirement, the ultimate goal in life. Sometimes, tailoring it down, transitioning, moving from work life to retirement life. So those of you who know me, background is in financial services, specifically with insurance and retirement planning. So I specialize in, hence why we're talking about retirement today. Adam here, financial planner background, going to help us discuss, kind of the transition, what's changed out there, what's going on, and this is the first of a number of segments that we're going to have, and so we'll continue to update you on this. So, Adam, let's talk about some of the top fears that are out there with retirement. Today's fears, or more importantly, how has retirement changed?
Sure. So the times are changing. I mean, not just obviously the economy feels different. It's not your parents' retirement, right? If you're entering into that critical stage, say 50, 55 years old, you're maybe 10, 15 years out from retirement, you have a lot different concerns than your parents had. The biggest one is probably going to be the lack of pensions being offered right now. So the statistic is that 81% of people who are currently retired rely on a pension.
Okay.
Right.
So what kind of pension?
Mainly a defined benefit plan. So essentially you work for a company for 30, 35 years. You pay in diligently every paycheck into a big pool of money, very similar to Social Security. Right. Social Security is just a government pension. A private company pension, you're going to pay in out of your paycheck, same way. And then once you hit a retirement age, then you're going to start to get that money back for the rest of your life in the form of monthly paychecks. Now that's becoming less and less. So 81% of people now who are in retirement are collecting now.
Okay.
Now, could you guess the number of people who are entering retirement who have a plan like that? You just took a stab at it. Like
the number, total number.
Percentage. So percentage number, 81% now. What are the people that we're talking to? 30%. Close.
Okay.
24%. 24%. So less than a third of the people are getting the same kind of pensions now. So that's a huge issue because the olden days was the three-legged stool, right? You had your employer pension as one leg, you had Social Security as one leg, and then you had your own personal savings as another leg, and they all really contributed. Right. Well, now that pension leg has really shrunk. That piece of the pie.
Now, is that because I read an article that talked about the number of companies that are actually offering pensions? That is dramatically decreased and decreased. I read something where something like 8% of companies actually have pension now versus when our parents were young, and you get that golden watch or whatever when you retire. The clock and see it, right? They don't give that anymore, right? Or they'll make you pay for it before you
it comes out of your pension.
Right, it comes out of your pension. Right. So what do you think the challenges are? I mean, one of the we talked about, whenever I talk about this to my clients, we talk about one of the biggest fears of retiring, right? Now, obviously, pension is one of those things that people discuss, but one of the other big things I keep hearing about now is about aging, and what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, so just to finish up with the pensions for a second, and they all play in together, so that's a great point. So if you look at the golden age of pensions, it was really the 1950s. And when people in the 50s, they were living on average around 68. So you look at the late 60s for average life expectancy, man and woman combined.
Right.
And that was really the golden age of when these were beginning to be offered. They really started in the 40s. You had Social Security really being enacted in 1935. Then you had pensions start to roll out with employers offering them. And then you had the golden age through the 60s, 70s, and then going into the mid-80s. Now, even into the mid-80s, people were only living until about 75 years old, if you look at the combined life expectancy. Right. So pensions are a fantastic thing to have in retirement because it gives you that comfort that I have a certain amount of money to live on.
Like the guarantee.
The guarantee. I'm not going to have to worry about what I have. I know that I can plan my retirement around this amount. Fixed costs in retirement, fixed income in retirement provides for a stable retirement.
Okay.
When those things are up and down, your retirement's not stable.
Right.
You're worried. You're concerned, am I going to have enough money? So now you're more reliant on your personal savings.
Okay.
That's the big key here without pensions being offered as much. You're more reliant on that personal savings piece.
Now we're talking about people who are contributing to their retirement on a regular basis.
IRA, 401k, things of that nature.
I read an interesting article that talked about this, and it said that 56% of the people that are approaching retirement have less than $17,000 saved. And then it said 1 in 3 Americans have zero savings.
It's amazing.
So there's a challenge out here. Would you agree?
An enormous challenge.
Okay.
I think people are less and less prepared because of this,
Right.
because it was all done for them.
Right.
It was done for them by the employer. The pension was there.
Right.
You knew it was coming when you retired.
Right.
Now it's on you. So everybody kind of becomes their own financial planner to a degree.
Right.
What funds do I invest in? How aggressive is too aggressive? Is this going to last me my whole life? These are the questions people will come to me with.
Right.
And a lot of them are, very ill prepared for that at, like you said, a later stage in retirement. When you're closing in on those last 10 years
Right.
where you're accumulating, you're in that accumulation phase, that's so key.
Right.
I mean, you can really make or break your retirement in those 10 years.
It's interesting you say that. I meet with probably about 500 to 600 families a year, just doing retirement planning, or I like to call it lifestyle retirement planning.
Right.
Because your financial situation at retirement dictates the type of lifestyle you're going to have.
Absolutely.
That's fair to say, right? So I'm hearing that more and more and more. And I mentioned it earlier, and the biggest fear, and I think we're getting to that, is what happens if I outlive my retirement, or the money I've saved or not saved.
Yeah, that's the second part of it. So you have the first part of the problem really being the lack of the pensions.
Right.
So now you're having to plan your own retirement from a personal savings standpoint. The second part is the age. And I resist to even call it a problem, right? Because people are living longer.
What's the alternative, right?
Exactly. So a good problem to have
Right,
that you're
right.
living longer now. So
Right.
if we look at those statistics, from 1950 to 1980, that time period, the average life expectancy was hovering around late 60s, mid 70s,
Okay.
around 75 in 1980,
Right.
which was really the golden age of pensions. Then 84, 85, you really started to see a decline in the amount of pensions being offered, which again, now only 24% are having them going into retirement.
Right.
For the next 30 years as we look out, so if you're 55 right now, and you're looking to live out to 85, which is absolutely going to be within the life expectancy over the next 30 years with the advances in medicine, the more knowledge we have about health.
And how you're taking care of yourself, basically, on a regular
Yeah,
basis.
absolutely. We know a lot of the evils of taking care of ourselves as it regards diet, smoking,
Right,
drinking,
right.
things of that nature. People are more educated on that. And then you have advances in medicine. So for even things like cancers and heart diseases, people are able to be cured or live a lot longer.
It's interesting. And again, I want you guys who are listening out there to really understand just the importance of this. If you've never looked at longevity, great example. My grandmother lived, she died 2 years ago, and Mama was 100 when she passed. And she wasn't sick. She got to a point in her life where she says, I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah.
And then she left.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But it was 100. Now, she had enough pension. She had the forethought to plan for that. God only knows how she knew that, right?
Yeah.
But here's an interesting thing. I read another statistic. It said that if you're a couple, you get to 65, and we all hope we get older, right? But we get to 65 as a couple. There's a 50% chance that one of you will live to age 92.
Wow.
92. And again, now you're getting there together with dual incomes,
Yeah.
right? Dual incomes, but you lose one at 92. And then it says another 25% chance that one will live to 97.
Wow.
I think my grandmother was in that category there.
Definitely.
And more importantly, when you look at this, and again, I don't know how many people are really talking about this enough, and it's that the number of people living to age 90 has tripled since 1980 to 2000. I mean, so we are living longer, and not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing at all. And in the next 30 years, we project, it's being projected, obviously, that life expectancies will be around 90 by 2050. So that means the average life expectancy.
Right.
So you're going to have people, living like grandma, 100, 105. So it's not a thing that we've seen the trend. It's already began. We already are seeing people living longer. So in anticipation of that, that's going to be your retirement the next 30 years. The years of when you decide to start taking income from your personal savings that now you're more reliant on for the next 30, 35 years. You're going to be more reliant on that savings. So the question is, you know, with you living longer, will your retirement savings live longer? You know, is it going to live as long as you? Because it needs to.
Right.
With as reliant as we are on that. So the fear of someone outliving their money is more and more real today than it's been when the pension was a lot larger.
Right.
Social Security isn't going up every year. We don't have a cost of living adjustment every year.
Right.
So being solely reliant on
it
that
has changed, because it used to be like each year you don't take it. It was like a close to 8%, I think, increased for cost.
Well, they'll announce it. They'll announce what the cost
okay.
of living adjustment is and whether they're announcing one or not. Some
Okay.
years they skip it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, and a pension would do that too. A lot of pensions would have adjustments too. You know, as you go up, depending on the pension.
Okay. Okay. So, you know, one of the things that I always talk about, you know, to my clients is, you know, how do we compensate for longevity, so to speak, with the money you have? And, you know, that's the area that, you know, we're not going to talk about that today because it's not a lot of time. But I think that, you know, we want to, you know, come back to this and really start digging into how do you not outlive your finances in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing, I want to pose an example,
Okay.
so you can kind of see it. So if you begin, say you're closing in on your 60s now, or even you're you know, in your early 60s, you're looking to retire. Say you begin taking some of your personal savings as income when you turn 65. We're going to use that as an example now. So you're working, you've worked diligently, you put aside some money, and now you want to retire. You're done. You're ready to start taking some income out of your portfolio. You're ready to stop putting money in, start taking it out. So say you've accumulated $250,000 in your personal savings up to that point. And at age 65, you want to start taking about $1,500 a month, which is comparable to what some folks who are receiving a pension now, who've maybe earned a salary around $80,000 to $100,000 during their career would have. So $1,500 a month is $18,000 a year. Now, the average investor, unfortunately, because of a variety of factors, which we'll go into another day, only earns, due to a study that was done, about 2.6% on their money.
Okay. So to be clear, like they have an investment vehicle.
Yeah.
And they're only getting 2.6 returns
2.6%
on average.
On average. In some years it's far worse because of losses. So it averages out at 2.6, but you could have losses of 10, 15, 20, or even 39%. Like we saw in 2008.
So we're doing this roller coaster ride.
A roller coaster ride, which is the worst thing to do in retirement.
Right.
Now, the roller coaster ride, just like when you're a kid, right? I went on a roller coaster that I went on when I was a kid last summer with my son.
Right.
And at the very end, it snapped my neck. And I didn't remember that when I was a kid because I was built differently.
Right.
Same thing now. You're built differently when you're younger for risk.
Right.
You can go up and down with the market because it does trend upward over time.
Right.
In retirement, when you're taking income out, that's a terrible thing to have.
So these what we call sequence of returns, right? The sequence of returns basically are dictated by those highs and lows of your return on that investment, basically, right? But you don't know when those are going to happen.
Yeah, if you take a big hit early in your retirement, you're toast.
Right.
You're toast because you're not going to make it back taking money out. Right. So this person, but let's say this person got no loss. We'll use a very conservative example. This person has no losses in their portfolio. They just make 2.6%. Every year, and they want to take out a modest amount every year and $1,500 a month to supplement because they don't have a pension anymore.
Right.
They just want to supplement their Social Security. In doing that, guess what age they'll outlive their money? So 65 they start, $250,000, still making 2.6% on it. Some people have their money in the bank making nothing. Guess what year they'll run dry with personal savings?
80?
82. At age 82, they will pull their last withdrawal out, and then that account will close.
Then there's nothing. Then now they're relying on family, friends, and everything.
Family, friends, whatever. Quality of life is going to change drastically. That $1,500 a month. Maybe you have to move out of the house. Now you can't live there anymore. You have to go to an apartment. Not able to afford the taxes, whatever it may be. Your quality of life is essentially going to get cut in half financially. Because if that's around what you're getting Social Security, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 a month, you lose $1,500 of that. 40% hit in your monthly income. Wow. That's it, and that's a real fear. Talking about living longer, talking about 82 years old being the new norm of life expectancy.
Wow.
So it's not, people living to 105 are going to run out of money. So really what we're going to try to go into over these next segments is how do we prevent that? How do we put something in place that's like a pension that has the ability to get income for life, but that we're not going to outlive, but still gives us a good amount of money every month to live on.
That sounds great. Okay, folks, we come to the end of this first segment. First, I want Adam, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Appreciate it.
And as he mentioned, we'll start to talk about how to not outlive your income, to plan for living longer, which is the alternative to that is not very good. So we're going to be planning for living longer, and it's going to be great for those folks who are listening. Tell your friends, your families. We will send out another text to let you guys know when the next upcoming segment is and what we'll be covering. And this is Richard Everhart Groves Jr. talking about money because it matters. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.